Hi everyone, this is the second session of suspension and vehicle vibration mode. In this session, I am going to describe you a brief introduction of Vampire freeware. Vampire is a simulator through which you can use your inputs of suspension elements, and you can observe the acceleration along different axes, and at the same time you can view the modes of vibration using this simulator. So this is if you have installed Vampire freeware and you will double click the Vampire freeware, this window will appear on the screen. So you can see that there are different sections of this simulator. There is a vehicle icon, there is transient analysis, there is eigenvalue analysis, data plotting, modes, animation demo, and exit. Okay, so each one of these has its role, and the results can be viewed through other sections. So I will go one by one through these sections. So if you will click this vehicle analysis, if you will just click the vehicle icon button, you will see this kind of window will appear on the screen. In this window, you can see that you can define the model of vehicle. Either it is your vehicle is 2-axle or 4-axle. You can define the number of wheel set, you can define the body mass, and then you can define the characteristics of your suspension elements. Here the simulator will allow you to define the suspension per component in vertical direction. This means that vertical springs, okay, then you have vertical dampers, then you have longitudinal springs. So you can define the values of your suspension elements which you are considering in your design. You can just click this drop down button and you can change the value as per your design, and you can later on you can check the analysis of each one of these design characteristics. Similarly, you can define the geometry of your wheelbase. Okay, you can define the spacing between the pivots. Similarly, you can define the characteristics of your secondary suspension elements. Okay, all these values can be changed by the drop down button. For the time being, I am just giving you a brief introduction of Vampire software, so I am not going to change any one of these values. These values are there by default. Okay, you can change these values as per your design requirements. So once you have defined your values, you will just click go. Okay, this you can see that the analysis option and track option, you will see these buttons can be defined in other sections. For vehicle definition, this is all about your vehicle definition, what you can define in Vampire software. Okay, now once you have defined your vehicle characteristics, then the next section what you can do is you can define your transient analysis. Okay, what is the meaning of transient analysis? By defining your transient analysis, you can observe the different acceleration values at the different points on the vehicle. For example, Vampire will allow you to observe the acceleration value at the pivots and at the center of your body. So once you will click this transient analysis button, okay, I forgot, you can observe your once you will define your vehicle option over here, you can observe these in a 3D model what you have defined in that section. So you can see that in vehicle plot there are values for linear spring, there are symbols for linear spring, bump stop, damper, shear spring, pin link, friction, air spring, bush, and so on. So all of these one have their own symbols, and you can observe this one from all angles. Okay, you can just click on these icons from top view, from bottom view, from side view, isometric view. At the same time you can zoom in and zoom out in order to have a closer look of your vehicle, where your suspension elements are and what are their characteristics which you have defined in your previous window. This is how your 3D model will look like, what you have defined in your previous section. Okay, now this is the section. This window will appear once you will click your transient analysis button, which I showed you in previous window. Let me show you again. Once you will click this transient analysis button, the next window which will appear in front of you will be this one. So this is your transient analysis window. What you can do over here, you can define your speed, mean that what is your design speed for which you are designing your vehicle. Okay, at the same time you can define multiple speed for your analysis. You can define multiple speeds, up to 5 speed limits and 3 conicity you can define in your analysis. Okay, now first of all you will have to define the file path of your analysis where your results will be stored. Okay, you can just click the browse button and you will just give the path where you want to save your file for the outputs. Okay, so for the timing I am just giving a demonstration on PowerPoint, so I cannot show you the file path through this window. Okay, you can define this profile of your wheel. At the same time you can define the vertical factor, lateral factor and cant value. This is for all of this for your track irregularity, I mean that what kind of track you are considering for your design. If it is a very good track, you can consider all the values as when it is a very fine track, smooth and new. If your track is not in a very good shape, so it depends on the designer what kind of track he is considering for his design. If the track is not very good, it is corrugated, there are bumps, there are some vertical or lateral disorders, or if the cant is disturbed, you can change these values by selecting up and down drop down buttons. So once you have designed your criteria for your transient analysis, you can just click go button and your analysis will be saved in the file with the name with the name which you have defined over here. Okay, in the track layout you can define your track is straight or it is leveled, or if it is a curved track, or it is a dumpy track, or it is a lateral shift is there. So for the time being I have just considered it is a straight and level track. If you will change the track type, you will have to define the certain characteristic, what will be the curve radii, what is the cant value. Okay, so you can define the characteristics of your track. So after defining your vehicle, your analysis option, then you will define your track layout, then you will click the go and all your transient analysis will be saved in that window. Now after saving your transient analysis, I want to see the result of my analysis. Okay, for that purpose you will have to go back to the first window and you will just click the data plotting. Okay, once you will click the data plotting icon, the next window that will appear in front of you will be that one. That is your data plotting window. What this window is showing you, it enables you, gives you a path from which file has been saved in your transient analysis. As I showed you in my previous window, you are saving your file as untitled. Okay, now I will run this untitled file in data plotting. Okay, I will select that file. Okay, the software allows me to show a multiple plots on one page or a single plot on one page. What will be the number of columns? These are all the settings. Okay, what variables I can see on my plot is distance, time and frequency. Okay, I can see my acceleration values on different spots of the vehicle for distance, for time, and for frequency. For timing, for the purpose of example, I am selecting this distance value so that I can